Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a special edition of Prep Life, where we're talking about the breakout of the Su-27, the Russian fighter jets that intercepted the MQ-9 Reaper. We got the video. So first of all, let's kick it off with the video. All right, so you can see out the gate, the Su-27 is inbound, dumping fuel, trying to disrupt the MQ-9 Reaper. This is not like unintentional. This is certainly deliberate. As it's flying along, you note the props. They're fresh and so clean. And then we get into another run of this, and they go to dump fuel, but he's coming in a little lower and dumps fuel, and then you have the squiggly lines. Those lines are the interruption of the feed that's coming from the pod that's flying underneath the drone. And then there, if we freeze it, you can see the damage of one of the propeller blades on the prop. Now, a lot of people have said, hey, this didn't hit or impact the MQ-9 Reaper. Here's certain evidence of that impacting. The question is not whether or not this happened, this took place. The question is, one, how did it take place? And two, why did it take place? So this was flying south of Ukraine, west of Crimea, which is basically Russia. Like, they haven't released whether or not these flew out of the Russian Federation, like the mainland, or Crimea. They certainly came out of Crimea. Two Su-27 Russian fighter jets definitely came out of Crimea. What's interesting to note is a couple hours just before, the UK and Germany scrambled fighter jets to intercept two Russian aircraft flying near Estonia. The Russian aircraft, a Midas, which is a Russian Tu-78 refueling plane, and an Antonov 148 military transport plane were approaching NATO airspace without contacting Estonian authorities, and the UK and Germany scrambled. This is the first time a joint scrambling has taken place as part of the new NATO treaty. Now, this happens, and then a couple hours later, this happens. The MQ-9 Reaper is intercepted off the coast of Crimea, south of Ukraine. And here's what's interesting about this, guys. The Air Force's response, Mark Milley's response, was very passive. You know, words have meaning. I mean, in this day and age, it seems like words have no meaning, but typically words have meaning, especially when it comes to law. And the absence of words have meaning in this case. Mary Ellen O'Connell, a Notre Dame law school professor and expert on international law and use of force policies internationally, noted that by dumping fuel and downing the drone, the Russian pilot was further polluting the fragile Black Sea. Yeah, I think the least of our worries here are fuel being dumped into the fragile Black Sea. But she was making a point because she noted the U.S. had not called the interception unlawful. Dumping fuel into the sea is unlawful, but they didn't even say any of this was unlawful. They called it unprofessional. Unprofessional. That's the criticism. Unprofessional. In all likelihood, according to her, the Reaper was conducting surveillance for Ukraine. Under the laws of armed conflict, Russia may disrupt such assistance, O'Connell said. What? So, under the law, the Russians can intercept these type of things, especially if they're interfering with Russia-Ukraine campaigns. Certainly this thing, let's not pretend like this thing wasn't providing intelligence to Ukrainians or gathering intelligence for ourselves on Russians. This is not new. We just had a Chinese balloon cross our country, like national, across from northwest to southeast, from Montana to South Carolina, before we shot it down over the water. Like, this is not new. I wanted to kind of do some research and figure out, like, how new is this? And what I actually found stunned me. I found a Times article written called a Russian spy plane was spotted over the Midwest, but it's totally normal. Yes, really, in quotations. Okay, so a Russian Tupolev Tu-154 was spotted flying across the Midwest in the U.S. this week as part of the Open Skies Treaty. Open Skies Treaty. So, keen observers spotted the plane on a commercial flight tracker as it entered the U.S. airspace on August 11th and flew past Dayton, Ohio, and then west over Chicago and Minneapolis. Now, there's a whole bunch of subcultures, including guys that track, guys and gals, I won't leave gals out, that track planes that fly all over the U.S. The story was picked up by the local news outlets. In fact, the flight was part of the Open Skies Treaty, a 17-year-old program that permits many countries, including Russia and the U.S., to send surveillance flights over each other's territories each year. Experts say that actually is a good sign because it's goodwill that Russia flies surveillance planes over the U.S. territory. When is a Russian spy plane not actually a spy plane? Open Skies flights aren't a secret. Under the terms, both countries are aware of flights in advance, and there's a quota for the numbers of flights permitted. The country being flown over must sign off on the equipment the plane carries, and the country sending the plane must notify the country at least 72 hours in advance. That's so nice. Like, come spy on us. Like, come spy on us. You think the American people would vote for a treaty that allows foreign countries like Russia to come spy on us? As long as they give us 72 hours notice, completely fine. The information that the flights are collecting also isn't a secret. The countries must provide all the images they collect to the other nations on request. On request. See, if you request it and we provide it, then it's true. And if you request it and it's not provided, then it's not true. Like, here, comrade, here's some images that I took. Oh, yeah, we're using Polaroid technology. Here's the pictures. What in the hell is going on? This is all planned in advance. What is the Open Skies program? It's a program that started in 1992 when the U.S. signed a treaty with 23 Open Skies countries, including Russia. Signed in the aftermath of the Cold War, the treaty, which now has 34 members, was designed for countries to gather intelligence about each other's military capabilities and, according to the treaty text, to promote greater openness and transparency. Wow, isn't that nice? So these countries include the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Poland, and Ukraine. Wow. Okay, so UK, buy into that. France, Germany, Poland, yeah, and Ukraine? Yeah, I'm all into that. Russia? What? I remember when I was in 10th group, like in 2012, when I was a team sergeant there, I went out in the back of the building and looked at our mini obstacle course that we had in the back, and there were Russians doing the obstacle course. And I was like, are those Russian uniforms? Like, yeah, we're doing like a exchange program. I'm all about cooperation, but we probably shouldn't be cooperating, let alone allowing foreign nations that we're in proxy wars with spy on a country, even though this is a little dated because it's from 2019. This is real. This is like happening in our world right now. So was this legitimate? I don't know. Leave the comments down below and let us know your input. This is super controversial on all sides. I just don't want an escalation of force from warmongers. Like, I myself might have been a warmonger because I certainly didn't have a problem with the politics in war because I enjoyed going to war with my mates. So call me a warmonger if you want to. I was just doing my job. But there are a lot of politicians who are warmongers. I'm realizing that as a civilian, and it bothers me. Not that people don't need protecting, but transparency in these wars need to be communicated, or we'll end up with a forgotten war, like where tens of thousands of Americans were killed in the Korean War and left behind. I don't know. How about that war called Vietnam? I don't know. How about this pullout of Afghanistan where we abandoned tens of thousands of Afghans and American citizens? I don't know. Just me. Leave your comment, feedbacks below, subscribe, hit the notification tab, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. Till next time. Later.